If you go to page 10, from clause 7 to 8, you will come to realize that this bill gives enormous powers to the minister other than the courts. And that in itself is a clear manifestation that we are not yet ready for a bill of this nature. Mr. Speaker, if you look at clause 7, you go to the last line of clause 7 and the last line of clause 8. They said the minister made by regulation made under this act prescribed. Mr. Speaker, this will infringe into the privacy of the citizenry of this country. And if we are to rely on the minister making regulation, leaving no room for the court, which has the mandate to do that. And therefore, as citizens of this country, and a lot of consultation we have made outside there, the feedback from our people is saying that a year ago, we gave leverage to government in this House of Parliament, in the SOE, that is state of emergency, when they promised bringing regulation, they woefully failed. They woefully failed to come with the regulation in the way of Parliament. Are we going to trust this current government when the enormous powers were given to the minister to make regulations? No way, Mr. Speaker, we are afraid. The regulation should be accompanied with this document. We want to see the regulation and assess them if they will fit the test of the citizenry, if they will fit the test of time. But to say this document passed in this house, then later the minister go out there and determine the regulations for the qualification of this document is yet to be seen, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, like other speakers have said, this bill should focus on cyber protection, cyber security, other than cyber crime. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, there are important things we should take note of. Firstly, we have to have a proper definitions of some of the terms used in this bill, so that they will not be misquoted by the police, they will not be misquoted or misunderstood by the judges, or they may not be misunderstood by other people. In the preliminary part 1, there is no definition for privacy, Mr. Speaker. Yes. And also, Mr. Speaker, this bill has, well, it should be accompanied with the data protection laws. Because when once my phone is taken away from me, and there is the tendency that the police officer who may have done that has, the tendency to expose my information to the public, there is no security that my personal information would not be exposed and my personal information will be protected. The powers also of the minister are very enormous, Mr. Speaker. We should develop a strong data protection privacy, and also we should create a standard policy. The minister should not be in the capacity to determine the punishment, the fines. You know, for every law we have approved as a parliament, the law goes with their consequences. That is the penalty and the fines, as the case may be. But this gives way to the minister to do that. That is very it's not good for us. You know, and Mr. Speaker, we should also pay attention at the offences. Also, Mr. Speaker, you know, I am of the opinion that this bill in every other country focuses more on protecting people from internet fraud, those who are disadvantaged on the internet. But from every speaker I've heard on the other side, it seems as if the primary target of this bill is to get hold of those who involve in making audios, those who involve in making statements on social media. So to a large extent, we are losing the criminal focus of this bill. It should not be focused on the opposition, you know, because we know that free speech will exist in every society, in every community. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to advise that let us sit again at committee stage, look at this bill keenly, so that the opposition would not, very soon we are going to elections. And you know that before even the advent of this bill, a lot of cases of arrest have been infected for people who talk on social media. Recently, I saw one in Home, a man who went at the Mo Stadium to just praise the former president. He was humiliated, he was arrested, he was treated naked. And this parliament should be in the position to protect some of those people. Now that this bill will be endorsed, I wonder what will be the fate of other people who do such.
Mr. Speaker, members, I'm a little bit comfortable now because I've got all indications that today's proceedings will stop at the second reading, and then we cannot go to the next stage. We'll have to go to the legislative committee. So based on that, I will release my points, and based on the time also. I listened to the chairman, and I also commend the minister because he did. The reason for today's debate was because we asked for more consultations, and we are following up. The minister did consult so many groups of people. But my concern is, having done those consultations, what were the outcomes? We are expecting some of those outcomes from our able chairman, but maybe the minister will tell us. But if things remain as they were, irrespective of 100 consultations, then that's a worrying thing to me. And in that case, I will guide this process by referring to section clause 3. Clause 3, Mr. Minister, in clause 3, you made mention of paragraph 3 of sub-clause 1 of clause 47 that never exists. There is nothing like paragraph C of sub-clause 1 of clause 47, of which you make reference to in clause 3. It does not exist. And don't tell me you actually meant paragraph C of sub-clause 2 of clause 47. No, because it is also not applicable. There is no paragraph C of sub-clause 1 of clause 47. And paragraph C of sub-clause 2 is not applicable. It does not exist at all. So you need to take note of that, because we need to make things better. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, so many times, over 200 times during your consultation, I've been listening to you, Mr. Minister, that you don't intend to use the powers of the courts, which was mentioned. And I believe that one was mentioned 22 times. But you've said, you made it very clear that was never your intention. But that is not my point here. My problem now is, of all those 22 violations in this bill, no offense was actually created. I mean, it's a sentence. The offenses were created, but no sentences were actually mentioned or meted out. So that is a huge burden on the legislative committee. So I appreciate Mr. Speaker when he guided this process that the work of the legislative committee should be expected to be slow at this time. It should not be given time, limited time. Because Mr. Speaker, no sentence was meted out. In all those 22 offenses, no offense. And there's a provision in law. There's a rule that we say gravity of offense. No. Those offenses are not of the same gravity. So really it is more time by the legislative committee to create, to seek out the suitable and acceptable sentences for those offenses created in 22 various sections of this bill. That needs indeed a lot of time. And we've also made it very clear here that sometimes during this time we need the presence of the law officers department, or at least create a legal department in this way to be headed by a legal practitioner. We have one or two who are staff of this parliament. They can help those departments. They can better guide the process. But as I speak now, there is no representative of the law officers in our midst. Mr. Speaker, in clause 22D, you made mention of seizure of assets. Just general. So I was so worried. I thought it was limited to electronic assets. But when you say you can seize assets, all sorts of assets, and I was even more worried because asset was not defined. Asset was not defined. Exactly. So when you say asset, dictionary definition of asset, apart from your specific definition here, which is absent, it can mean any asset, including houses. How can you seize houses under this bill? It is not applicable. So we can either define assets or we delete this relevant provision completely. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, 35(2)B, you included in that subparagraph B, that's paragraphs A and B. But for B, you said it is an offense if anybody says something to my annoyance. Annoyance, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we are human beings. Anything can simply irritate us. So if you say, no, now I feel annoyed, it is an offense, it will not be good for us. That relevant provision is absolutely not necessarily subjective, and as human beings, we are dynamic, we are different. What annoys me does not annoy Mr. A, or does not annoy Mr. B. If we maintain that provision, it will be more arbitrary. Because I will say, okay, as in my capacity as minister, in my capacity as president, I've been annoyed. Therefore, I will take action against you. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, in fact, this one, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Minister, look at me. That's what miscellaneous provision, Mr. Minister. Look at miscellaneous provisions. If you look at one, that's what. Mr. Minister, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. Look at miscellaneous provisions, what you said. It is not possible. How can you draft miscellaneous provisions that way? It's not possible. Sometimes I think within myself, maybe SO2, maybe the one for bail, Bokubon, and you know. But Mr. Minister, under miscellaneous provisions, if you are referring to regulation, you can make that reference to the regulations only. That can suffice as miscellaneous provisions. But miscellaneous provisions cannot be substituted for the provisions for regulations by statutory instruments. So that one must be rephrased completely, and that's where the legislative committee will need more time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, on that note, I hope the minister will take note of all these points. And then I'm a member of the legislative committee. And as a Sierra Leonean member of this parliament, I have obligation to my people. I shall be there to make sure these changes are effected for the benefit of this country. Thank you very much.